Tonight on KGW News, the Apollo-era astronaut who took this historic image dies doing what he loved.
I could not believe what I was seeing in front of my eyes.
What we're learning about the crash caught on camera in Puget Sound and the legacy he leaves behind. And also tonight, laying the groundwork for what could be the biggest nurses' strike in Oregon history.
If ONA withdraws their strike notice, we can continue to have conversation.
We have been clear from the beginning about what our priorities are.
Then, different year, same issues.
We're just investing more and more money in the same old strategies, and it's clearly not working.
Why she's not the only county commissioner raising objections. And later, the local sheriff's deputy that found his forever friend after rescuing her from the brink. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm David Molko. We begin at 11 with a small plane crash that claimed the life of an Apollo-era astronaut. Bill Anders' family confirming tonight his body has been recovered off Washington's San Juan Islands. A warning, the images you're about to see are tough to watch as the search for answers gets underway.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there.
A retired Air Force Major General and an Apollo astronaut.
We come all the way to the moon to study the moon, and what we discovered was the Earth.
In 1968, Bill Anders was one of the first to orbit the moon. He captured this iconic photo of what became known as Earthrise, a perspective the world had never seen before.
I think we've got a lot of people who are younger, maybe, and some others who just have kind of forgotten the role that people like Bill Anders played.
Aviation analyst John Nance, who last saw Anders a few years back, was among the many saddened by his unexpected death. When a post-World War II training plane Anders was piloting just before noon on Friday went down near the San Juan Island.
It looked like something right out of a movie or special effects.
Witnesses say it appeared the aircraft was doing some sort of dive bomb maneuver. We've paused the video before impact. The frames after show the plane burst into flames as it hits the water hard.
Looking at that video, I don't think he had any control on the way down. He was the type of guy who knew everything you need to know to be able to fly an airplane like that and get out of problems with it. But this type of airplane doesn't present you with many.
In a statement, relatives said, "The family is devastated. He was a great pilot, and he will be missed." And from an interview 2 years ago with our sister station in Seattle, it appears Bill Anders' wings were clipped this June day, doing what he loved.
I'll keep flying as long as I can crawl in the airplane.
And so he did, and the NTSB begins its investigation now. The head of NASA sharing some thoughts on the loss, saying Anders, quote, embodied the lessons and the purpose of exploration. Bill Anders was 90 years old. Also making headlines this evening, thousands of Providence nurses are set to go on strike in just 10 days in what will likely be the biggest nurses strike in Oregon history. This is set to impact 6 Providence hospitals, including Providence St. Vincent. Catherine Cook is in the newsroom with how we got here and what this all could mean for patients. Catherine?
David, Providence hopes the impact on patients will be minimal. They've already hired replacement staff for the 3 days union nurses will be on strike. Last summer, a different group of Providence nurses held a 5-day strike. Both groups asked for the same things.
A strike is a very, very, very serious action.
An action 3,000 Providence nurses are now planning to take. On Friday, the Oregon Nurses Association gave Providence their required 10-day strike notice.
What we're fighting for is simple. We are fighting for our patients, and we are fighting for respect.
On June 18th at 6 a.m., they'll walk off the job for 3 days at 6 hospitals: Providence St. Vincent, Newberg, Willamette Falls, Hood River, Milwaukee, and Medford. If that happens, it would be the biggest nurses' strike in Oregon history.
Going on strike is a last resort, but we will not accept a bad deal that simply allows Providence to continue with the dangerous and unsustainable status quo.
Nurses are asking for more money, a better nurse-to-patient ratio, and better health benefits. They've been negotiating with Providence for more than 8 months to no avail. The sticking point?
I think it's in totality.
Jennifer Burrows is Providence chief executive. She believes the benefits and wages Providence nurses receive are competitive.
Certainly saddened to receive a strike notice for our hospitals today. We have leaned in, over these past couple of days with a federal mediator to work hard to resolve differences where they were.
In response to the strike notice, Burroughs said Providence would not resume negotiations until after the strike.
We are more than disappointed, given that other employers have bargained during the 10-day notice and have averted strikes.
Providence says they'll use the time to make sure replacement nurses they've hired are ready to go to avoid care disruptions for patients.
We've been clear, and so we explained that this is what this would look like. This is what this looked like at our institution that had a strike last summer.
Last June, 1,800 Providence nurses walked off their jobs at Providence Portland, Seaside, and Home Health and Hospice divisions. They were also after better pay, staffing conditions, and health benefits. After the 5-day strike, negotiations resumed. The two sides reached a tentative agreement in August. It's unclear how long this round will take.
My hope is that on the other side of this work stoppage, that we come back together and find a common ground in places that there's differences.
Burroughs says the message from Providence to the public is they're there for them. She says they don't want people to feel like they can't seek care if they have an emergency situation during the strike. David.
Yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. Thank you, Catherine. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, OHSU just notified employees it'll be laying off more than 500 staff. This comes a week after it announced a binding merger with Legacy Health. Hospital administrators said the cuts are needed because costs for salaries and supplies are outpacing revenue. No word on the exact timing of the cuts or which departments will be hit hardest. In Salem, detectives are investigating what they're calling a suspicious death, and now they're asking for help identifying a potential witness. This surveillance video shows a light-colored vehicle, possibly a van or SUV, driving by the scene just minutes before police were called. This was early in the morning on May 23rd. First responders were called to a woman lying in the road near the intersection of Southeast Rural Avenue and Rayner Street. The victim was later identified as 28-year-old Carla Vasquez. If you have any information, call Salem Police. And police in Newberg have arrested a juvenile they say shot at a pride flag hanging in the public library. Authorities say it appears this person acted alone. Library officials say it appears the shooter used a BB gun to hit the window where the flag was hanging. Prosecutors will determine whether to charge the suspect with a bias crime. Well, let us take you outside now on this crystal clear Friday night after another showstopper of a day, because if you like sunshine and Goldilocks weather, just right, it doesn't really get any better than this. Cool. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino here. Matt, it sounds like smooth sailing right through the weekend.
Oh, we're looking good, and it was smooth sailing at the Oregon coast today, at least in terms of the weather. The sea's been a little bit rough, but they're settling down too. But look at this sunset from Cannon Beach. I mean, not a cloud in the sky. Sun goes down. I know some folks out here saw the green flash earlier tonight. We didn't catch it there, but there's a little bit of cloud out of the very horizon there at the end, but a great sunset nonetheless. In Portland right now, we are at 71 degrees, so it's a warm night. It's a clear night. It's really just beautiful conditions, especially when the city is just kind of buzzing with all the activities. We've got the Grand Floral Parade, the fleet is in town, a lot of things going on, and the perfect weather to show off Portland and the surrounding areas. So the Grand Floral Parade forecast hasn't really changed. Mostly sunny, although there will be some scattered high clouds at times rolling on through, but not a big deal. Still looking at 68 degrees at 10 a.m. at the start of the parade and about 73 at the end of the parade, which will be right around noontime, of course, here in Portland. So enjoy those conditions. Take some sunscreen just in case, though, right? Okay, the headlines look like this. Great weather for the parade, slight cooling this weekend. We're warm today, but not 90. A little bit of cooling this weekend. And then I'm watching the potential for showers, not this weekend, but next weekend, which is Father's Day. So we'll touch on that too. Also, we had thunderstorms in parts of Oregon today. We'll track the rest of those on radar, show you how much rain fell in a bit. David?
Hey, looking good for tomorrow. Thank you, Matt. On the coast, a team of state and federal agencies have finished their cleanup of tarballs in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Tests have shown, yes, they are petroleum-based, but where they came from, that's still a mystery. Oregon's Department of Environmental Quality says after surveying more than 300 miles of coast, they collected nearly 2,000 pounds worth of oily debris. The first signs of trouble came in the form of birds covered in oil that showed up in late May. Tonight, new reaction is coming in after Multnomah County approved its latest budget, a nearly $4 billion package that includes plenty of funding for homelessness and behavioral health. Though once again, there is pushback over exactly how that money will be directed, particularly when it comes to harm reduction. Yeah, we've been here before, right? The budget includes about $200,000 for more than 6,000 tents. Also more than $500,000 for 5 million clean syringes. Some city and county commissioners are now questioning the move.
The county continues down a path of enablement that is really, really problematic.
I would have preferred that we'd had a much bigger push towards more shelter, because that is going to be the most important thing to get people off the streets.
We're just investing more and more money in the same old strategies, and it's clearly not working.
We have a humane policy when it comes to distributing tents and tarps or other supplies, right? So we have about $750,000 in our budget. That's about supplies for folks.
Sharon Myron, by the way, the sole no vote on the budget. It's worth noting that this is all a small fraction of the overall picture. Close to $300 million is earmarked for rent assistance and housing placements, and about $100 million more for shelter beds, plus a plan to house half of everyone living on the streets by the end of next year. Well, this evening, we are continuing to follow the backlash into a pro-Palestinian guide published by the Portland Teachers Union that some Jewish leaders and parents have called anti-Semitic. While we initially reported some of the material had been removed, it appears some is still available in a more discreet location online. Some of it, which is color-coded, refers to Israel as an apartheid state and says Hamas' October 7th attacks were provoked by Israeli aggression. Those are opinions Jewish leaders and Jewish teachers call biased and one-sided, calling them propaganda that could be harmful for students and families. And the longer it continues to stay up, they say, the longer some teachers worry.
I believe that this behavior by our union leadership really creates an intimidating and threatening environment for Jewish students.
We did reach out to the teachers union for an interview, but did not get a response. The union president told us on Tuesday that they are committed to social justice and keeping schools free of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. You're watching KGW News, and straight ahead on this Friday night, a second chance on life when a deputy rescues a dog from an abusive home.
It just kind of clicked that this dog needed somewhere safe, needed somewhere where it would get unconditional love.
Now, plus why this float that's getting finishing touches for the Grand Floral Parade was a dream come true for its designer. Stay with us.